All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Tuesday, March 4th. We have a 9-game NBA slate to dive into in today's video. Like we always do, I'm going to dive into each and every one of these games. I'll give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye down on the pinned comment of this video. That'll take you to all of my final plays so that I'm actually rolling with myself today. If that does interest you, absolutely free down in the pinned comment. All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. I tell you guys I'm a dummy all the time. They don't suck. They've just been sucking. Get them down to -3, 4 more juice than Jose Canseco in his prime. Tell me you're new without telling me you're new. So don't go jumping down my throat in the comments, right? If you want to fade me, or if you do want to ride me, this still leaves a bad taste in my mouth, right? And remember, more chins, more wins. All right, so we did travel. We drove for 8.5 hours yesterday. But last time you saw me, we had a nice little 4-0 night. Now, I know it wasn't last night, so we would never fire off the money gun because it wasn't last night. But had it been last night, we had a 4-0 sweep. Let's go. Money flying, guys. 4-0. We had Anthony Edwards over 26.5 points. He went for 40 plus. Celtics money line and the Celtics -4.5 for plus money. Those both cash. And then Aaron Nesmith. I said in the video, I said, I'm going to look like a genius or an idiot. We took him over 11.5 points. He had like, 27? So, yeah, we're coming off of a good night. We didn't have any action yesterday, but nonetheless, jumping back into it today. And I will say, the ride of the day streak is still alive. King Preezy survived me traveling. Let's pump in some damn crowd noise. 4 straight team total overs cashed for Preezy. This one got a little bit sweaty, right? Toronto over 101.5. They finished with what, 104 in a win against the was it the Magic? Yeah, they played the Magic 2 days ago, right? So 104. So King Preezy coming through, still on a run here, 4-0 with team totals. Make sure to drop those hashtag ride of the days down in the comments. I jump on board with one person's play each and every day. Give you a shout out in the next video, win or loss. Also shout you out right here over on my Twitter/X and on the Guy Boston Sports site. Still riding with King Preezy, seeing what he comes up with today. Let me guess, it's another team total. Hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Let's go ahead and jump into today's slate. Make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's get going here. All right, starting it off with Pacers taking on the Rockets. There's a ton of injuries to note in this one. Rockets are on a back-to-back, so their injury report will probably be confirmed a little bit later, but we're seeing Amen Thompson, Dylan Brooks, Sengun, Van Fleet, Tari Eason, all these guys either out, questionable, potentially not playing. So if that's the case, I'm okay to ride with Indiana here. Final play-wise, I doubt it's even like worth a full unit or anything like that because this Indiana team has been very good, but their strength of schedule, I mean, like, actually they have some quality wins. I don't want to go too far, but their last 3 games have really jumped some of their numbers. Toronto, Miami, and Chicago, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think the defense is all that great, even though the defense looks good. I do think their offense is clicking, which could be huge here against a Houston team that their offense just has kind of been a little wishy-washy. So I think by default, with the injuries and the fact that Houston's on a back-to-back, that, yeah, this is going to be a spot in which I consider Indiana. Houston, 38.5% cover rate on back-to-backs this year. Indiana with rest advantages over their opponent, 63.6. Houston hasn't been defending the rim all that well. We know Indiana likes to score in the paint. I will say they've been shooting a lot more threes, making a lot more threes. Houston's still a very good perimeter defense. So if you like Houston, that's probably your argument, but I'll lean towards Indiana in this spot. I don't think it's going to be a really, really high scoring game. I would assume Houston wants to step up defensively. So yeah, I'm going to lean slightly towards the under as well. And then one player prop that I'm looking at, I'm going to lean Pascal Siakam's over in rebounds. That's I mean, if I had to rank these, it's probably Indiana, you know, if these injuries go according to plan, and then Siakam in the total kind of, underneath that. So, yeah, I like Siakam just due to the fact that Houston shoots a lot of shots, you know, at the rim or in the paint, meaning they don't have these long rebounds. Siakam's going to be on Jabari Smith. I think that there should be some more opportunities coming his way just due to the fact that, he's going to be what I would consider him around the paint a little bit more. All right, Toronto taking on Orlando. We just kind of talked about this, right, with the ride of the day. So we saw Toronto take on Orlando 2 days ago. Toronto won 104-102. This is still in Orlando. In fact, last 2 times they've played, Toronto has won. Now, I do think Orlando at some point is going to figure it out. I'm not all that comfortable laying 7 points with these guys right now. They're super inconsistent. They've been banged up, injured. Jalen Suggs, I believe, still out here. But there's a lot of injuries also on the Toronto side of things, right? Grady Dick out, Agbaji out, Brandon Ingram still not playing. So it's not like this Toronto team is just rearing and ready to go. I think Orlando bounces back here. Again, I'm not comfortable with 7, but I am struggling to make an argument for Toronto, right? Toronto likes to score in the paint. Orlando should be fairly good at stopping them from scoring in the paint. If Orlando likes to score in the paint, which they have been over the last 10 games, 6th in terms of in the paint field goal attempts per game, Toronto's 72.3% allowed. So sure, you can look at that last game and be like, well, why didn't they do that? Quickly went for 24. Barrett went for 22. Scotty Barnes did have a bad game, sure. But on the Orlando side of things, it kind of went according to plan. They just didn't get any additional help. Like Wagner went for 25. Banchero went for 23. It's like if they just got a couple more points from someone else, they would win this game. They lost by 2, right? And they did, I will say, they battled back in the fourth quarter. So that 2-point loss, like if you heading into the fourth quarter, it was a little bit different, right? They were getting not smoked, but a few more points than that. But they battled back. I think they take that momentum of winning the fourth quarter into this one. Orlando minus the points, even though it's not my favorite spot, I still don't hate it. 209 seems a little bit too low for the game, but I think Toronto's offense is a little bit off tonight. So I like Orlando's team total over, actually, overall. I know that may be kind of crazy because these are two teams that are not going to try and run up and down, but if Toronto's paint defense is as bad as it, I guess, has been in some cases, I think Orlando should be able to score fairly well here. So yeah, I'm going to look at their team total. Let's see if I can get an updated line for that right now. So total's at 209.5. Looks like you can get an over 106.5. I think Orlando can get there today. That'd be a look for me. And I don't have really any player props that I'm loving in this one. I would say if you're looking for a player prop in this one, maybe target some guys that do like to get to the rim for Orlando. Before we get into one of the better games tonight, New York taking on Golden State, let me talk to you about Sleeper Picks because they have a Steph 0.5 points square for tonight. He is questionable. If he doesn't play, then I'm sure they'll drop another free square, but Steph Curry, 0.5 points, and that's not the best deal. Like I've said multiple times, play $5, get $55 is probably one of the best deals in the market right now. All you have to do is check out the link in the description as well as the pinned comment. Go sign up for Sleeper Picks, and you can place a $5 entry as a new customer. They'll give you $55. I think it's 11 $5 free rolls, which is really, really cool. And you get the Steph 0.5 points square. Tomorrow will be Wildcard Wednesday as well, in which they drop a bunch of discounts. Go check out Sleeper. If you like player props and you have not checked it out and it's available in your state, you are absolutely missing out. You won't regret it. That link is down below in the description as well as the pinned comment. All right, let's go ahead and talk about that game. New York favored by 4.5 here. I'm sure this line is going to kind of jump, at multiple times during the day. But right now, we're still seeing 4.5. The total has come down a little bit, 230.5. So if you could still find a 231 out there and you like the under, go for it by all means, right? I want to start with the player prop side of things here. This looks like it could be a very good matchup for Steph Curry. He's obviously a guy that likes to go out there and score in terms of his pull-up jumper capabilities. Ain't exactly the best team in terms of, guarding the pull-up. This Knicks team, not all that terrible at defending, the catch-and-shoot jumper. In fact, let me just show you in our dashboard, and I can also show you how to get access to this dashboard by becoming a Guy Boston member over on the site in just a bit. But yeah, look at this. Check it out. So New York obviously hasn't been exactly the best of defenses lately compared to what they were earlier in the year, but this is what I'm focusing right here. Pull-up jumpers. They are, just overall dreadful, right? 24th in effective field goal percentage, 27th in score percentage. Obviously, that is something that the Warriors like to do, and the Warriors do specifically with Steph Curry. Catch and shoot, the Knicks actually pretty good at defending it. You can see here the Warriors obviously like to do a lot of catch and shoot as well, but Steph Curry in general can pull up from wherever, in theory, right, and have a good game here against them. We haven't projected for 22.5 points via Score Predicts, our new site there, but I think that that's going to scream Steph Curry today. So I do think that gives a little bit of elevation to him. If we want to look at his numbers here, he's gone over his line of 26, and again, our projection's a little bit lower, but we take into a lot of other factors other than just the computer, right? 6 of his last 10, he's gone over. In terms of head-to-head against this Knicks team, so far this year, 31-27. I just like the matchup for him. He is questionable. If he doesn't play, then obviously this is kaput. But if you can get 25.5, 26.5, it could be worth a look. Now, his threes line at 4.5 is also something I'm considering because of the pull-up. So definitely something that I'm thinking about. That's where I kind of went immediately in this game. When we start to pivot it over to what side do we like? The Knicks at home are a really good team, and this Golden State team, though they've been playing some really good basketball, they're not all that tremendous on the road. I mean, if you look at their season-long numbers, it's going to be tough because they just haven't been as good. Like, this is the best the Warriors have played all year. They're 8-2 in their last 10. The Knicks, though, you kind of think of the Knicks like, oh man, they're kind of dropping and they haven't been covering and all that, but them at home has been very, very good. They're 7-3 in their last 10, just straight up overall. So I think I can see an argument for the Warriors, right? But I think at some point the Knicks outsize them with Karl-Anthony Towns down there, and ultimately that's how I'm going to end up leaning. Last time we saw these two teams was last year, I believe, right? If I'm not mistaken. Yes, 119-112 win for New York in Golden State, but obviously both those teams look super, super different, right? We already mentioned Steph did hit his points line, so I think the Knicks are kind of just in a good spot here. They outsize them. The Warriors' defense has been very, very good. I'm not trying to take away from that, but again, what have we been saying about the Warriors? We really like them as long as that other team on the other side isn't huge. There are some big boys on this Knicks team overall, and even if they do play small, then okay, now they just match up fairly well and still have some edges there. So yeah, I see the Golden State side of things. I do. I already said I like Steph, so that's obviously a reason. But I'm gonna lean towards the Knicks minus the points in this one. Total wise, I do think that's a little bit lower scoring than 231. But like I said, that total is moving down. If this thing gets down to like 228, 227, which is obviously a decent jump, then I would consider an over. I kind of have this pegged right in that, I would say maybe like 229 range, you know what I mean? So under 231, sure. Over 227.5 if by whatever reason it gets down to that number, I guess. All right, how to get access to that dashboard that we just showed on the Guy Boston Sports site, GuyBostonSports.com. You head over to the members area, NBA dashboard. If you are logged in and you have a membership, you will see that we have the dashboard right here. You can open it up. You can print it out, zoom in, do anything you want to. You get each and every game in a visual format, so you can kind of break it down and start your research in the right spot. This thing saves me so much time, so I can imagine how much time it would save you guys. If you are not logged in, we'll set this to without membership access so we can kind of preview the look of that. It'll say membership required. You view membership levels, right? You head over here and you could see all sports dashboard, meaning at this price year-round per month, you get every dashboard that we release, $4.99 per month. Why are we offering that if we only have the NBA dashboard available? Because once this MLB dashboard launches, this price is going to go up. So if you are interested in getting the NBA and MLB dashboard, check out the All Sports Dashboard membership for $4.99 a month, and you'll be locked into that price. We don't up the price for people that are already locked in. So yeah, go ahead and check that out if you are interested in becoming a Guy Boston member. All right, Atlanta taking on Milwaukee. Hate to look at another favorite here, but I think Milwaukee's going to be in the better situation, right? Overall, like, yes, they have not really been scoring in the paint all that much, but Atlanta's actually been playing somehow, some way better defense in the paint. Where has Atlanta been truly struggling? I guess you can make the argument all year long, but certainly as of late, from deep, and they really struggle against the pull-up jumper, which Milwaukee, third highest frequency this season in terms of pull-up jumpers. Makes a little bit of sense. You got a guy named Damian Lillard on your team, so that does make sense. I like Dame today. I like his points and his assists. If you guys want to look into those, I think the matchup's really good for him, whether it's taking points separately, taking assists separately, taking his threes, taking points plus assists. I think he's in line for a really good spot here, especially because I think he's going to be able to torch the pick and roll, and that should lead to both points and assists. But overall, like I said, Milwaukee, I think, in the better spot here. Pick and roll, they should have the advantage. They should have the advantage in the pull-up, aka Damian Lillard, and they should just be able to rain down threes on an Atlanta team. Now, this is a very high-paced game, and this is a pretty decent Milwaukee defense in transition. Their transition offense is very good, and Atlanta's transition offense is very bad, whereas Atlanta's transition offense is okay, but Milwaukee's transition defense, 51.1% allowed to their opponents this year. Or actually last 10 games, right? That's not like ultimately killer, but it's pretty good, right? If you can get anywhere around 50% in transition, think about the open buckets that, count towards that as well. So I think Milwaukee, multiple reasons, has a good game today. Giannis is questionable. He's listed as probable, though. So is Trae Young. So I assume he's going to play. Kuzma's listed as doubtful, and Bobby Portis obviously still out, right? So there are some injuries that could impact this, but if Giannis is good to go, I like the Bucks in this spot. If we see Giannis out, I probably don't like the Bucks as much, but I'm racing to get Damian Lillard in, right? Like, I think that's going to be a massive spot too. So give me the Bucks as well as a strong peek at Lillard. Keep an eye on the pinned comment to see what we end up rolling with. I bet we have one of those today, at least in this game. Total-wise, it's sitting at 240. Like I said, I think that this is going to be a game that turns into transition. I don't know how much I trust the Hawks side of it, especially if things are running up and down, and I already kind of gave the Bucks credit for their transition defense. So I'm going to pivot to, yes, an over, but not the full game over, not any sort of part of the game over, just half of the teams here. I'm going to look at the Bucks over 120.5. Probably the least, confident thing that I have out of the ones that we've already thrown out there, but I do think that this one gets up and going here. And guys like Dame and Giannis can play pretty well. Throw in the fact that, one thing that could make me not exactly love it all that much, I guess, throw in the fact that, yes, these two teams do like to run, and they have been running. The last 6 times they've played, they've averaged 114, the Bucks, 114.6 points per game. So maybe that keeps us off of it. All right, Chicago taking on Cleveland. Guys, we dropped H to H episode 2 for the NBA season. It's dropping today. You'll be seeing this video first, but around 1 p.m. Eastern time, me and Tassos go head-to-head in the NBA. And the play, probably my favorite play in this game, I dropped in that video as well. It's going to be Darius Garland. I like Garland's points, and then I also like his threes, so I'll probably be divvying those up, maybe a half unit on each today. Garland hasn't been playing all that well, but you have no Evan Mobley today. That's obviously going to be a huge factor here, as it should be. There's a lot of points going to be, I guess, on the board now, right? This season, without Evan Mobley, Garland has been fantastic. He's averaged 25 points per game. He's hit in 5 of his 6 games. That's good for an 83% hit rate. From his threes without Evan Mobley this year, 6 games, averaging 3.7 makes. He's hit it in all 6. So yeah, I like a lot of Darius Garland today. But like I said, he has not been playing like he was, say, a month ago. But this matchup screams Garland to me. It also screams Mitchell, so that could get us into some deep water here if Mitchell just ball hogs and goes off, rightfully so. He's filthy, right? But if Garland gets his usage, I think that we could see over 2.5 threes from him, as well as a nice look at his over 21.5 points. So yeah, I'm going to look at both those. I think we have good odds. Those are my 2 favorite plays. It's Darius Garland really in this game. If I had to make a play here on a side, it's really tough to like Cleveland, right? Like, I don't think that this is a spot in, tough to like Chicago. I don't think this is a spot in which you would like Chicago, but Cleveland does have Miami tomorrow. Maybe they look towards it a little bit. I think Cleveland wins this game, but something's telling me that this is going to be like a 5 to 6 point win for them. So sound of the psycho alert alarm here. I'm hoping this one's closer because that's going to help the Garland play as well, him get more minutes. But I'm going to lean towards, Chicago covering, but Cleveland probably winning this one. Do I love Chicago in this spot? No, but they have covered in 5 of their last 6 games, and they were only like a basket away from covering against the Pacers. So when they get these big numbers, man, I think that they can keep some games somewhat close. They've covered, again, in 5 of the last 6, and if they had plus 12, who knows what that number would be. So yeah, I'm going to lean towards Chicago. Sound of the psycho alert alarm. I don't think that's the final play. I already said my main look is Garland in this spot. Total-wise, if this thing is going to stay close, I think Chicago's going to have to slow it down. If they want to run in transition with Cleveland, they'll get scored all over. Chicago likes to run, but they're not the most efficient offense, right? So if they just have a bunch of empty possessions and Cleveland's doubling down on possessions and whatnot, the margin's going to move. So I'm going to lean under 245.5 here. But Chicago's defense needs to show up. Are they going to be able to show up? That is the question, because we saw last time they played 144 to 126. Yeah, kind of crazy to be looking at it under in this one, huh? All right, Minnesota taking on Philadelphia. This is another one, I honestly, similar to what we just talked about with Chicago and Cleveland. Like, I do think that this Minnesota team wins the game, but doesn't 13.5, 14 points just seem like it's a little bit too much for a team like Minnesota that just hasn't really been fully there. Now, you talk about not there. Look at Philadelphia, right? They beat Golden State and people are starting to sound the victory alarm. It's like, dude, you're 1-9 in their last 10, 2-8 against the number. So I can see why someone would like Minnesota, but this is not exactly a spot where I'm looking to dive in. Minnesota loves to shoot the 3. That has been their offensive MO all year long. Philadelphia for what it's worth, they have been a pretty good perimeter defense. And even think about that game against the Warriors. We talked about the Warriors already today. They like to shoot the three. They're a perimeter team. Steph Curry, you ever heard of them? They won that game, right? So it's like, can Philadelphia beat these perimeter-heavy teams on offense? Potentially, but I think that at least that little nugget is at least good enough to keep this game somewhat close. I'll throw this in there, though. Oubre, Maxey, and Paul George all listed as questionable. If those guys don't play, yeah, we're not touching this one, obviously. So, gonna be Philadelphia, but they have to be somewhat healthy. Total sitting at 223. I don't mind an over. I have this one pegged right around honestly, this is kind of how I would see this one. Right now, we have this pegged for a 117 to 110 win for Minnesota via scorepredicts.com. Predix, scorepredicts, that's how you spell predicts.com. It's our new site. We project games. We also project player props compared to sportsbook lines. We have the projected right in that spot. I think that's probably how I would look. That's slightly over. Give me the over in this game as well. And like I said, player props kind of out the window right now with all the injuries. All right, Spurs taking on the Nets. This is also a game in which, much like Houston and Indiana that we talked about, that like I could see both sides, coming through. So I don't have the strongest opinion here. The biggest spot that I would probably want to look at, right, outside of the spread, outside of the total, anything like that, would be a consideration for someone like, Devin Vassell's under in threes or points. We've been somewhat recently the Devin Vassell whisperer, right? We've taken a couple of his unders cashed, a couple of his overs cashed. I don't know if we've lost in Devin Vassell this year. I mean, maybe I'm jinxing it, but this is a good perimeter defense in Brooklyn. Now, they specialize in, and it is truly specialized, they are one of, if not the best team in terms of pull-up defense against the three. So Devin Vassell, not exactly a pull-up guy. He's more of a spot-up guy when it comes to three balls, but he takes plenty of pull-up jumpers and whatnot. So I think I like his under 16.5 points today. It's going to be my main look. They did play in late December. He played 34 minutes and had 10 points. Kind of like the look for him today. So that's probably going to be where I go more than anything in this one. You could also consider some other guys that may take some pull-up threes. I mean, obviously, De'Aaron Fox probably being a guy that would like to do that and that type of thing. But overall, I think Devin Vassell might be my look. If I really had a gun to my head and had to look at something in this game, I would say Spurs at home. But if this line gets any bigger, like I would say Brooklyn keeps this to 6 points, for example, right? But it looks like it's moving in the wrong direction because people are taking that big number with Brooklyn. So yeah, if you can get Brooklyn +4, I get it. But I think that, Spurs, you wait this one out, you probably get a better line. They're at home, and maybe that's the look. This Brooklyn team is in neither one of these teams playing all that well, but San Antonio at least at home just had a big win against Memphis. They played OKC. I don't want to say tough because they didn't even cover, but yeah, this Brooklyn team, yes, they can play good defense, but ultimately that's kind of as far as I'd go. This total, however, though, has gone up to 228. It says 225 on our graphic. That's outdated. I don't mind. I was going to think under at 225.5. Maybe I'm a little bit crazy, but I'm thinking Brooklyn, the reason this is a low line and whatnot, Brooklyn stays in this game to some degree, and they play super slow and play good defense. So that's where I think that they make their impact on this one. Give me the under 228.5 now. All right, Phoenix taking on the Clips. I talked about this one on H2H, and I like Phoenix. I think that they should be able to win the mid-range game. They're getting a Clippers team without Norman Powell, which is absolutely massive. Neither team has been playing all that tremendously, but the Suns are decent at home, and the Clippers stink on the road. Enough said there, right? I think that there's a lot of good reasons to kind of jump on board with Phoenix today. You're getting plus money, obviously. Would it surprise me if they go out there and just get absolutely torched by a Clippers team that I do believe is better? No, it wouldn't surprise me, but I do think at the very least this is a toss-up type game, and we're getting plus 118 for Phoenix on the money line. It makes a little bit too much sense to me, but sometimes when it makes too much sense, I look like an idiot, right? In terms of what we have from a total in this one, I would say this is right around the 225 number, so to me, maybe a slight lean towards the over because there's so many playmakers in this game. Durant, Booker, Beal's questionable, but Durant, Booker, James Harden. If I have this pegged right at that number, at that 225, 226 number, I just assume one of those guys would make a shot to get us to the over. So I'll lean in that direction. Player props, there's a chance that we roll something here, but we'll add it into the final plays. Nothing that I actually have ready to share as of right now. So keep an eye on the pinned comment. Again, it'll take you to the final plays. If we add anything in that we don't talk about in the video, I'll make sure to explain what it is and where it came from and why I like it. Lakers taking on the Pels here. Sound of the psycho alert alarm, guys. I see a little bit of an angle for the Pelicans. I I do, as crazy as it is. This is a team that loves to score in the restricted area, and though the Lakers have surprisingly been good at defending the restricted area, defending the paint, I still don't think that their lineup is composed of guys that should be good at that, right? Like Dorian Finney-Smith, Jackson Hayes, Rui, I think, is out, so that's pretty big there. Guys like Zion, you should be able to score down low. 8.5 just seems like it's a lot. Now, it is the Lakers at home, and I'll tell you right now, I don't think that I get to the Pelican side myself. Like, that happened recently, right? When we liked them against... No, we took them against when they played the Suns recently, right? And, ended up working out. They won that game outright. Did we take it? I don't think we actually made that a final play. I was very close to, though. But this Lakers team, obviously playing really good. I assume at some point they just fall a little bit flat, but I could be the crazy one in the room. That's why I sounded the psycho alert alarm. I think the inside game could be huge for New Orleans today. That being said, you could flip it right on its head and be like, well, what about the Lakers? If they want to score inside, they could against the Pelicans. Sure, I will give the Pelicans a little bit of credit here. Now they played Phoenix, Utah in their last 3. They are the number 2 team right now in terms of points allowed per game in the paint. That's pretty damn good. They stink from outside, and this Lakers team is slowly transitioning into a shooting team, so sure, that could be an argument, but down low, you guys know how much I like the points in the paint battle, whether it's offense, defense. I think the Pelicans could keep this one somewhat close. It's kind of crazy. Player prop I like, and Tassos kind of, put me onto this in H today. Zion could have a good game. Last time he played the Lakers, he went off. It wasn't this year, it was last year, but again, same thought process of why I think the Pelicans could stay in this game. Like, who's stopping a guy that's a brute down low like Zion, right? That's kind of how I view it. Total-wise, right now I have this pegged right in the 228 range, so I'm going to trust that. I'm going to lean slightly towards the under, especially because I think we're going to be counting by a decent amount of 2s today in this one. But guys, that's going to wrap it up for today's show. If you made it this far into the video, go ahead and comment 30. You pretty much made it 30 minutes in. And I love when we have like the comment this number, comment that number, because we get tons of comments being like, why is everyone commenting 30? And I get it. And I'm not trying to rag on those people, but it just speaks to the people that actually commented it just mean that much more, right? Like, you guys are the true OGs and that type of thing. So yeah, comment 30 if you made it this far into the video. Good to be back. We're here this week for a few more days, and then I'm going to Vegas, so we will have some road videos this weekend, but I'm not mad about it, man. We're going to be in Vegas. Me, the industry I'm in, I've never even been to Vegas before. Very excited. We'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.